Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen nabiyyina Muhammadi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'du, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to our daily fiqh hour, which we have on the hour at 7 p.m. UK time till 8 p.m. Alhamdulillah, we now start week 3. So this is the third week, alhamdulillah, that we have been going on with it, and it's been very well received, alhamdulillah. So we will keep it going, inshallah. As I said, this is a service that we're providing, and as long as there is a need, as long as there is an interest, then we will keep it going. As you would have heard a few days back, Rajab started. So now we're well on the way towards Ramadan. There is only one more month after Rajab. Sha'ban, and then after that obviously we reach Ramadan. So let's keep this going, and let's see if we can invite our friends and family. Those of you who are on Facebook and watch on Facebook, you should be sharing the video so that other people who are your followers or your friends watch it. So Sohaib, I hope you are sharing this with all your connections on Facebook, and same for anybody else who is on Facebook. They should be sharing it with their connections as well. Furthermore, those of you who have links to YouTube, then please do share with others. This is not just about, because, rather than me answering each person's question again and again and again, if we share this, we spread ilm. So for some of us, alhamdulillah, we are fortunate enough that we have studied ilm and we know ilm. So we have that and we can share it. For others, we have to learn it. So in your case, if you don't know it, then the benefit you can have of having the reward of a teacher, having the reward of a scholar, is to share material that a scholar shares with you. Then inshallah, you will get a similar reward, if not exactly the same. So one of the first questions I will answer is one that came through on our Dar al-Ifta, and also was sent to me on our other platform. So the first one is, this came in yesterday, in fact, but I didn't get a chance to answer it, and that was, is drop shipping halal as a way to make an income? So the issue that we have, shall we say, with drop shipping in its normal position is that items are which are not in the possession of the person selling them. But now we see that the structure of these type of sales are structured in a salam way. Now, a salam is a different type of transaction. In a salam, we are acquiring the products for a person. So in a salam, that transaction means that you will say to the person that I can get you these things. Okay, that I can get you these things. So when that person is making a purchase, then he knows that you don't have these in your possession. What you will have to do is give a clear identification of the product, usually a picture that goes with it, also the price and a date of delivery. So then there is nothing left which is uncertain. There is clarity in knowing exactly what the product is, when it will be, when it will arrive, and then there's nothing left for uncertainty. So then in those cases, if drop shipping was structured as a salam, then it would be absolutely fine. The other question which came in earlier this morning was, Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. I saw this post and thought I'd ask you about a predicament I have. My cousin took his mother for Umrah and borrowed my wheelchair. When his sister took their mother to the Rauda to pray, someone took the wheelchair. What they ended up doing was taking someone else's wheelchair, meaning that my family members then picked another wheelchair without realizing, and they're taking somebody else's. What they ended up doing was taking somebody else's wheelchair and brought that back to the UK and gave that wheelchair to me, meaning I now have a wheelchair in my possession, which is not my wheelchair. If they had told me whilst they were still in Medina, I would have said to leave it there and not bring it back. My predicament is that I now have a wheelchair that doesn't belong to me. It wasn't a waqf wheelchair, therefore it belongs to someone. I have no way of finding out who or where they are. What shall I do with the wheelchair? Well, now that you have the wheelchair you'll have to keep the wheelchair because, like you said, you cannot find the original owner. But what you would do is you would find what the value of the wheelchair is and you would give that money as sadaqah. We know, alhamdulillah, that that person is a Muslim. Why? Because they were in Medina. And not only were they in Medina, they were in Masjid Nabawi. So they are Muslim. So what you would do is what is equivalent to that value of the wheelchair, you will give as sadaqah. If by chance, which is very remote, highly improbable, that person whose wheelchair it is reaches out to you, or you find a number after some long time, whilst you're cleaning it, you see that there's a number or a tag written in which it gives the details of the owner, and you get in touch with that person, then you can give that wheelchair to them. But assuming based on the information that has been provided, it doesn't look likely that you're going to find the original owner of the wheelchair, and your wheelchair is already gone, so you may as well keep this wheelchair. All you will do is find the value of the wheelchair, and you will give the value of the wheelchair in the path of Allah. Why? Because you have in your possession something which you do not own and you do not have a right to possess. But this has only come about by no fault of your own. It's only come by an unfortunate mix of chairs whilst you were in Medina. So alhamdulillah, that covers the few questions, a couple of questions that we got via our Dar al-Ifta directly. So now we'll pick up the questions on the YouTube that have come through. Let's just see if there's anything that's on Facebook. Yes, we got one on Facebook. What type of and what are things we should keep in mind? Okay, so we'll come back to that one, Suhaib, in a while. Assalamu alaikum. A person forgot to recite a surah after Fatiha in a fard salah and didn't know they should read a surah in the third or fourth rakat to make up for it, but did sajda sawa at the end of the salah. Is the salah valid? So they've missed the qira, okay, which was after the salah. So obviously in that case, if they make sajda sahwi, it would be valid. And that would be fine. You're quite right that if you miss it in the first two rakats, then you should, or the first or the second rakat, then you should try to remember to do it in the third or the fourth rakat. But in these circumstances, obviously they've forgotten to do that. So because it's a wajib act, therefore they will make sajda sahwa at the end. When women visit the Rauda, is that the same as visiting the Prophet ﷺ's grave? No, the Rauda itself is what is kind of a different carpeted area, which is between the mimbar of the Prophet ﷺ, i.e. the original mimbar, and also the Prophet ﷺ's resting place, which is where obviously, which was the room that Aisha radiallahu anha used to have. Okay, so in that place, it's not a large space, but it's sufficient space to get maybe 15, 20 people across, and maybe about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows, maybe a bit more. It's not, like I said, it's not huge, but it's a sufficient space. And women very rarely get access to that area. And if they do get access to the area of the Rauda, they very rarely get access to the grave itself, the resting place of the Prophet ﷺ, because unfortunately, because of the misbehavior of some women, where they lose control when they're around that area, and therefore they behave in a certain way. So it's not exactly the same, but there is no requirement. I don't know why people feel that there's a requirement to visit the actual grave itself, especially for women. There's no requirement to do so. If the opportunity is there, absolutely take the opportunity. If the opportunity is not there, then that's a different thing altogether. It's a woman can't be blamed for something that she does not have the power to change. So you can send salam from the Rauda. You don't have to physically go up to the area, which is the kind of a frame that is built there. Because even when you go there, you don't shout to the Prophet ﷺ. That would be khilaf of adab. You say it quietly. And because there's a significant distance between outsides of the resting place of the Prophet and where the Prophet ﷺ is, it's not as though your voice is going to carry all the way across there. So therefore, let me just send this. Therefore, as long as you are within sufficient distance, then that will suffice. Okay. So what type of scholars should we listen? What are the things we should keep in mind while choosing a scholar, because everyone claims Quran and Sunnah? Well, first of all, if we have select a scholar, well, that's hard to come by. You have to, that is where Allah guides you. So you have to ask Allah for guidance. You have to pray to Allah for guidance. You have to be sincere in seeking guidance. You have to be, you have to try your utmost to be a good servant, so Allah SWT answers your prayers, because it is Allah SWT who will guide you to a rightly guided scholar, and then the rightly guided scholar will guide you to Jannah. So that the first step of finding a scholar, how are you going to decide who's a good scholar, who's a bad scholar? Some scholars can speak very well, but that doesn't mean that what they're saying is a good thing. So it's hard for a person to just say, oh, I think he's a good scholar, or I think he is, because like you said, all scholars will claim to follow the Quran. All scholars will claim to follow the Sunnah. And as most of us know no different, how will we know whether that's part of the Quran or whether that's part of the Sunnah? So what we've got to do is we've got to pray to Allah sincerely and ask him for guidance. And say, arinal haqqa haqqan wal batila batila, that, oh Allah, show us the truth for the truth, and show us what is falsehood as falsehood. And he is the one who is your guide. And you keep praying to him, and you keep asking him, and then inshallah, if you have ikhlas, if you are sincere, then he will guide you to a rightly guided scholar. Once you get into the hands of a rightly guided scholar, then you will follow him when it comes to his direction, his advice, his masail, his ahkam, and then inshallah, that's how you will move forward. So that's a simple way of understanding it, because rightly said, very few scholars are going to say, oh, I'm a fasik, I don't know what I'm talking about, I just make things up. How many scholars are going to say that? You're going to get that claim made by every scholars. Yes, Mr. Suhaib, be patient, mashallah. I'm just taking your question. I just did it right now. Back to the YouTube. Is ordering calligraphy books which has letters of the Arabic alphabet through the post allowed? Yes, there would be no problem with that coming through the post. No problems whatsoever, because it's Arabic language. It's not khilaf of adab to have that. And if you're concerned about books which are going to potentially fall through your letterbox onto the floor, then very rarely, if you've got a big parcel, that is going to go through your letterbox anyway. Most of the time they will knock on your door and expect you to answer it because the parcel's too big. Now, if you're not in, that's a different thing altogether. Even then, they'll place the box on the floor or find some place where you've given instructions for it to be kept until you come home. So therefore, in that regards, okay, it's usually safe to say that the book is not going to be thrown anywhere, because no one letterboxes are only so big. Now, unless you've got a single book that you've ordered which fits nicely through the letterbox, generally speaking, they're going to ask for you or knock on your door for you to answer, or even that you'll leave some kind of instructions so that they put it in a safe place. In the wheelchair case, can the wheelchair be given in charity? It can be given in charity, but the only problem is, you see, is that this person doesn't have a wheelchair now, do they? Because their wheelchair got left behind. So what does this person do if their mother, for example, which I think was in the question I was saying, is that their mum uses a wheelchair? So therefore, this wheelchair now, which is no longer extant, means on, but the family brought the wrong wheelchair back. So if they now get away, then they won't have a wheelchair. But yes, if they have no need for the wheelchair, then yes, they can give the wheelchair in charity. But the questioner was suggesting, obviously, that they use the wheelchair. O doesn't mean anything. O means nothing. So if you're going to type, it's Assalamu alaikum. But OAWW has no meaning whatsoever. It's not an acronym where you just put the three letters and that will suffice. So just Assalamu alaikum would suffice. You don't need to put the whole Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, because AWW means nothing whatsoever. Please can Mufti advise on a curriculum stroke reading list for Alimia graduates interested in studying Qāḍī? Very specific question. In studying Qāḍī, one of the things that we studied was, I think I still have it on my desk up here, which is Shara Kitabul Qāḍī, okay, by Imam Abu Bakr al-Khassaf. This is the book that I would recommend reading. The only thing is, obviously, it is best not to be just read without a teacher. So it's best to be read with a teacher in order that the teacher can guide a person. With Qāḍī, it's mainly tamreen, mainly exercises. And normally what would do is that, if it's been some time since you've done iftar, then it would be appropriate to do iftar again with a teacher who is an experienced mufti. What I mean by that is, nowadays, I know we do iftars, but now it's become so easily to do. Everybody teaches iftar, basically. I had a student of mine come to see me a few years back, and he was only in his mid-20s, and I just asked him how he was, and he says, "Oh, I'm okay, Ustadji." And I said, "Okay, so what are you up to?" And he said, "Oh, at the moment I finished my iftar." And I said, "Oh, that's good to hear." He goes, "Oh, I'm teaching." So I said, "Oh, mashallah, that's very good. What are you teaching?" So he said, "I'm teaching iftar." So I was like shocked, like, what? So I said, "You're teaching iftar?" He says, "Yes." So now this chap is only in his mid-20s and he's teaching iftar. Iftar is not just a academic subject. How can a person teach iftar when they don't have any life experiences? They're not married, they don't have children, they've not had a job, they've never run a business, they're not involved in social circles, their mashwara is not sought by the people. How can you teach iftar? Iftar is not, teaching iftar can be done in a month, as in the academic aspects of it, but that doesn't mean anything. Okay, it does not mean anything. It is that you are an apprentice and you are in the company of somebody who is running a Darul Iftar and whose day job is answering queries, but is somebody who is quite senior. Okay, somebody who's quite senior, somebody who's been married for several years, who's had children, who's raised children, who's taught for several years, who's experienced of the world. Because if you're not experienced of the world, you cannot, never mind teach iftar, you cannot give fatwa. But now, unfortunately, like everything else, it's like a microwave world. Everybody and anybody wants to do everything. Even in my case, many people have asked to study with me, and I've refused, and I've said no, because it's not something that should be taken lightly. A person's got to dedicate a lot of time to it. They've got to really take that person under their wing. They've got to teach them research skills. There's so many things to learn and so many things to study. But unfortunately, like I said, it's one of those things now. We live in a microwave world. When it comes to a mufti that is just going to quote you references from a book, that's different. Fine. Okay, I understand that you're just going to quote Radul Muhtar, or you're going to just quote, Hidayah, or you're going to quote Kanzud Daqaiq, or whatever it is you're going to quote. But even then, you'll find something like Radul Muhtar that has so many aqwal in it. So how do you know which one you're going to quote that's correct? What is the Zahiri Riwayah, what is the Muftabihi, and things like that. But that text I just showed you, that's the main text. But what you learn mainly about Qāḍī is about being in the company of somebody whose responsibility is to be a Qāḍī. So, for example, in the work that we do, we, alhamdulillah, are in a position that we declare the start of a new month. That is not a fatwa. That is Qāḍī. We are in a position to set prayer times. Again, that is not fatwa, that is Qāḍī, because these are normally the responsibility of the judicial system in a Muslim state, in an Islamic state, whereby the new month is declared by the judicial people under the government. Similarly, when the Salah times are determined by them, all these sorts of matters. So then the next question comes is what will be the purpose? When we want to become a pharmacist, we study a pharmacy degree. When we want to become a chemist, we study a chemistry degree. When we want to become, so when a person wants to study Qāḍī, what is it they're studying it for? What's the maqsad? What's the purpose? So these are the questions one should ask themselves prior to, it's not just for the sake of studying it, because there's so many other things to study. There's so many other things that we need. The key area that we need really more than anything is people having a good understanding of contemporary issues, and so that they can start to give advice on contemporary issues, so that we can lead the people. So I think that's important. But that was the book, Al-Khassaf's book, the Shara anyway, which is the key text, to be honest, on that topic. There are other smaller ones which I do not know where I've put now, but there are 2 or 3 smaller ones. Maybe I've got them up there with it. I don't think so. That can be used as well. Nope, can't find it. Because since I've obviously had those books together, I've moved my library a few times. So I cannot find it. I cannot find particular texts. But understanding, one of the other things for Ifta as well as for Qāḍī, is understanding usul very well. That's very important. But with Qāḍī, it's understanding more the kind of legalities of something, where you're declaring a particular position. And again, if you get a chance, I don't know if you were in the program that we ran way back in a couple of days back, when we were talking about the difference between fatwa and Qāḍī. So I hope that answers that question. Let me see if there's any that's come via the WhatsApp. I love this movement. I'm from South Africa. Excellent. MashaAllah. May Allah accept. So yeah, all the questions on Facebook have been dealt with. That's good. On YouTube, we have as well. Alhamdulillah. Let me just double check that we've got on the WhatsApp and what we get to. Alhamdulillah. Okay, Osman, why are we going to send a 2-minute clip? I think that means you should have let him watch the whole thing. Don't be so nice. Okay, alhamdulillah. So those questions we have dealt with. So we still have some time. Please do pose your questions. I normally do give several minutes so that everybody has an opportunity to pose their questions, inshallah, before we go off air. Wa alaikum salam, Harun. Good to see you here, mashallah. Now, my esteemed colleague Umar isn't with us today. He's busy on another call. So inshallah, normally he's on here as well, but he's not here today. Looks like we're going to have an early finish today, alhamdulillah. More chance to do something else. So we all need to be looking at making, start thinking about what kind of a diary we're going to make for Ramadan. Did you? Sorry. Let me just check. I think you have. Let me just answer this. Assalamu alaikum, Usab. A sister, woman. Oh, okay, this is a long one. So let's get the background first. So a sister, woman A, has asked for khula from her husband and has been granted it by a panel of scholars. No talaq at all from the husband's side was given. It was the panel's decision, fasq, as no communication from the husband. She, woman A, now regrets it. The ex-husband is in the process of making istikhara to marry another woman, woman B, and he's made an oath to woman B that he will marry her. not a promise, but an oath. So an oath obviously is considerably stronger than a promise because you normally take wallahi or something of that nature with it. The feelings between the ex-wife and the ex-husband have grown since the khula, and now they both want to get back together via nikah, but the husband has given oath to marry woman B. Question for Mufti Sahib is, what does one do in this situation Islamically? How would the ex-husband back away from the oath Islamically? Well, according to Islam, he would now go ahead and marry woman B because he has made an oath to her. There's many issues here with this situation. One is, what kind of interactions was he having with woman B prior to that? He seems to suggest that he was in discussions with her. It seems to suggest that he was in communication with her, which obviously is not appropriate. Second point is, the feelings between the ex-wife and the ex-husband have grown. So the question comes, how have the feelings grown? Are they in touch with each other? Are they contacting each other? So that's something to be of a concern. Let's going back to the original position. A fasq is when a nikah is annulled. Okay, when it is deemed by the panel of scholars that the wife has made a case against her husband and the husband has not answered the case, even though he's been given. Obviously, I don't know this particular circumstances. I'm just giving you what the process should be. That the panel have asked the husband. So the woman has gone to the panel. It's not as though the panel have gone looking for her. The woman has gone for the panel. Usually she's paid a fee and she has asked for her marriage to be annulled because her husband is choosing not to annul the marriage. A khula is different than a fasq. A khula is when a woman goes to her husband and says to her husband that please remove the wedlock of marriage from me. Remove. Khula means to remove. Khala, like you remove a garment. So she's basically saying to her husband, I don't love you anymore, or I don't want you. This is not because there's grounds for divorce. She just decided she doesn't want to be with him. So now when a man decides he does not want to be with a woman, he can divorce her. But when a woman decides that she does not want to be with a man, then obviously how does she divorce herself? She can't divorce herself. So she will go to her husband and say to him that I want you to divorce me. He then has a chance, doesn't he? He's an opportunity. He can start to say, oh, why? What's the problem? I thought we were getting on really well. So she can then put a case to him that, oh, we don't really get on, you do this, you do that, you do this, you don't do this, you don't do this, you don't do that. The husband can say, oh, my apologies, I didn't know. As of tomorrow, that will never happen again. And life is roses after that. Or the husband says, I couldn't care less what you say that I do or don't do, whatever. So she says, well, if that's the case, I do not want to live with you, so let me go. So now what he would do is he would give her that khula and he would give her a talaq. So a divorce would occur. The slight difference in khula is that she may say to him, if he is not at fault, she is at fault, meaning she does not want to be with him. She may say, in fact, just to sweeten the deal, I will give you your mahar back. The mahar you gave me, I will give that back to you, just to sweeten the deal. So he thinks, okay, she doesn't want to live with me. She doesn't like me. I'm not losing out because I gave her £5,000 mahar. She's giving that back to me anyway. So, okay, it's no win. We've been together for 2 years. It didn't work. Okay, I'll go look for somebody else. Fine, no problem. Give me that 5,000 back and I will let you go. If the husband is at fault, he's never at home. He's always out with his friends. She's always alone at home. And therefore she's saying, look, I didn't expect marriage to be like this. I expected marriage where my husband would be home with me, but you're never home. So I don't really want a marriage like this. And he says, well, tough, because that's the type of man I am. I like to go out, chill out with the lads. You just stay at home, okay? And that's how it is. Get over it. And she says, well, if that's the way marriage is going to be, that's not the way you were like at the beginning. But if that's the way you think this marriage is going to be like, then I don't want to play any part in it. Now he should not ask for his mahar back because he is the cause for this breakdown. Because why is the husband never at home at night? He's supposed to be at home at night. So therefore, he should not take the mahar from her. But in these circumstances, let's just say, but what's happened is because he's refused to give her a khula, she's then gone to a panel of scholars, because there has to be a way out for a woman. For a man, there is a way out. It's called talaq. For a woman, there's no way out. So it cannot be that she is trapped in a marriage. She cannot be trapped in a marriage where her husband is not providing for her. Let me just send this. She cannot be in a marriage where husband is not providing for her, and or he's not really, making any effort whatsoever. She's not happy in her marriage. She's still only 26 years old, 27 years old. She's not happy in her marriage at all. She's trying to make it work. He doesn't want to make it work. And now for the next 60 years or 50 years of her life, she's going to be in this relationship. So the Sharia does permit a way out. And this is what's called fasakh. So if she does go to these panel of scholars, and the panel of scholars hear what she has to say, and they feel there is a case for her husband to answer, they will decide that. It's usually made up of qazis, or at least should be. Remember, I'm giving you the should scenario. I'm not saying this is the case. This is what it should be. People who are experienced, people who are trained, people who have worked in marriage counseling, people who know about marriage, people who also understand talaq and everything. So if there is no case for the husband to answer, they will say to her, sorry, sister, there's nothing here for him to answer. You're saying that he should clip your toenails. Well, why should he? And because he doesn't, you want to annul the marriage. Well, he's not required to clip your toenails. Do that yourself. I know I'm slightly ridiculous, but just trying to make a point. That's not for him to do. But if she gives a sound reason why she wants to abrogate the nikah, then they'll say, fine, okay, your husband has a case to answer. They will then write or attempt to write to the husband, and it's the husband's responsibility to engage. Now, many of the times, the husbands will know that the wife has gone to a group of scholars, a Sharia council. They will know, because she will tell him that I am going, and they will choose not to engage. Now, afterwards, once they've abrogated the marriage, now they'll say, oh, they did that without me knowing about it, whatever. Well, the opportunity was there. And I speak here with first-hand experience, because I've sat in as an observer in numerous sessions where this has happened in Sharia councils in the UK. So he should Islamically maintain his oath and not break his oath. But there is a problem now, because it seems from the way the question is put together that the husband wants to get back with his first wife. Okay. That he does not want to go ahead now with his oath and marry the woman B. To me, it sounds like this person is a little bit confused anyway. So whether I was woman A or woman B, I would be a little bit concerned, because he seems to make promises and then break them, or he makes oaths and then he breaks them. He's not there for one wife. She wants to separate from him, and then she wants to get back together with him. So it seems that there's what we call a bit of a kichre going on here. So there's got to be a little bit of understanding of what's going on. So maybe he just needs to press the brake a little bit. When he presses the brake a little bit, he needs to understand the gravity of what he's doing. This is not some kind of a joke or a pastime or whatever, because let's just say the woman B's brothers find out about this, they're not going to be too impressed. Somebody was to say that to somebody's sister, oh, I'm going to marry you, promise, and then not marry her, then he's going to be offended, aren't they? They're going to think, oh, what's wrong? What's my sister done? So he's made a conundrum for himself. He's made a problem for himself. So really, like I said, firstly, he should not break the oath. He should go ahead and marry sister B. Problem all he is now is that there seems to be feelings between ex-wife and ex-husband. So therefore, he has no interest no longer in sister B. We don't know if he used sister B as a means to get back to sister A. Allahu A'lam. You don't know whether he did that intentionally, unintentionally. But in order to break the oath, obviously, he will have to give kafaratul yameen. That would have to happen, but the damage he's going to do is going to be considerably more, because he's going to hurt break a person's heart. And that's obviously serious when it comes to a believer's heart, especially when that woman didn't do anything. It's only him who's confused as to what he wants to do, and that confusion has now impacted on this other person's life. Jazakum khair, Usman, for that question. And there goes that. There's the response for that, inshallah. So yeah, alhamdulillah. normally so quick fire. You guys don't give me a second to breathe. But today, mashallah, you're being very kind and considerate, and you're posing your questions in a very orderly and calm way, so that it gives me plenty of time to answer without my throat going dry or anything. So alhamdulillah, really appreciate that. Maybe in the time that we've been answering the questions, we've answered all the questions that are potentially out there, possibly. I think we're normally answering about 30, 40 questions per hour, and we're on sort of hour 15 or hour 16. So that's quite a lot of questions that we've done so far, alhamdulillah. We still have some time. So if there is something, a burning question that's out there, then please do put it forward. I will give a few minutes, inshallah, for people to ask those questions. I think that silence says it all, alhamdulillah. So jazakallah khairan for everybody. Early chutti today, as the Ustad would say to you. And inshallah, same time, same place tomorrow, 7 p.m. Till 8 p.m. We are obviously on TikTok, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and also we are on Twitter. Please do share the recordings with others, and also please do invite people to join as well, so that others can take benefit, so that we can continue, like we said, to provide the service, alhamdulillah, for the community. So jazakallah khair for tuning in. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.